welcome to the deep dive. This one is all about Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog, a guide to conquering procrastination and boosting productivity. We've got an expert here to really dissect this thing.
Absolutely. It's such a powerful book,
Oh, yeah.
And I think what really grabs you right away is that core metaphor, eat that frog.
Right?
I mean, how can you not stop and think about that?
Yeah. You don't often hear something like that,
No.
in the self-help world. And I'm curious, for you listening, what comes to mind when you hear that? Eat that frog.
Right.
Not exactly thinking about, like, a gourmet meal, right?
No. And that's exactly the point. Tracy picks this image because it represents the tasks we dread. Those big, important tasks that we just keep putting off.
They're ones we know we should be doing.
Right. And he's basically saying, do those first thing in the morning, get them out of the way, and you'll feel amazing.
I see that. So, like, conquer that inertia, build momentum for the rest of the day.
Exactly.
But how do we even figure out which tasks are the frogs, so to speak?
Yeah. Well, one of the core ideas in the book is the Pareto principle.
Okay, the 80-20 rule.
Exactly. It's usually applied to economics, but Tracy brings it to personal productivity.
Okay, I'm listening.
He says 20% of what we do produces 80% of our results.
So it's all about finding those high-impact tasks, right?
Absolutely. It's like finding those pressure points for success.
Yeah, but even when we know what those are, procrastination can still be a huge obstacle.
Oh, absolutely. And Tracy addresses this head-on with what he calls the clear thinking habit.
Clear thinking, okay.
He argues that we often procrastinate because we lack clarity. We don't know where to begin, so we get overwhelmed and freeze up.
Right. It's like staring at a puzzle with no picture to guide you. You don't even know where to start putting the pieces.
Perfect analogy. That's exactly it. And Tracy gives us a clear structure for overcoming this. First, write down your goals. Make them specific, measurable, all that good stuff.
I like it, the writing down part. I find that really helpful.
Right.
Takes it out of your head.
Absolutely. And then you break those goals down into smaller steps. That's how you turn a big, scary frog into manageable bites.
Right. So you're taking that big, overwhelming thing and you're making it into something, well, less intimidating.
Exactly. Less intimidating, more actionable. And Tracy doesn't stop there. He talks about the mental benefits of clear thinking, too. Less stress, more confidence, even better sleep.
That makes sense. You have a roadmap. You're not spinning your wheels anymore.
Exactly. But clear thinking is just the starting point. Tracy is adamant that action beats endless planning every time.
Yeah, I can see that. You can plan and strategize forever, but nothing actually changes until you do something.
Right. Taking action creates momentum, even if it's imperfect action.
This is something I've personally struggled with. I used to get stuck in analysis paralysis, just thinking and planning, never really starting.
Oh, yeah. We've all been there.
But once I realized that taking action fuels more action, things started to change for me. A positive feedback loop.
Absolutely. Have you ever felt that, listener? That once you take that first step, even a small one, the whole perspective shifts.
Right. And speaking of action, Tracy introduces the idea of keystone habits.
Oh, yeah. Keystone habits. Those are powerful.
They are. So what are those exactly?
He describes them as these core habits that, when you develop them, they have a ripple effect. They create positive changes in other areas of your life, too.
I like that. So it's like setting yourself up for success in a holistic way.
Exactly. And according to Tracy, one of the most powerful keystone habits is planning and then tackling your frog every single day.
Right. Start strong, set the tone for a productive, fulfilling day.
Precisely. And Tracy's own life is a great example of this. He went from, being a high school dropout to a successful entrepreneur, author, speaker.
That's inspiring for sure.
And he credits a lot of that success to consistently applying these principles, especially eat that frog.
Yeah.
Focusing on those 20% tasks.
So for everyone listening, it begs the question, what are your potential keystone habits? What are those daily actions that could really have the biggest impact on your life?
That's a good question to ponder.
It is. We'll be right back after a short break.
All right, so let's dig a little deeper into this whole time management thing. Tracy makes it clear that it's not about squeezing more into your day.
Right.
It's more about being intentional with your time and energy, how you use those precious resources. And he uses this interesting analogy. He says, think of time as money.
Okay, I like that.
Would you just throw your hard-earned cash away?
No, hopefully not.
Exactly. So why would we treat our time, which is arguably even more valuable, any differently?
That's a good point. Time is definitely a limited resource.
It is. And that's why Tracy is a big advocate for planning your day in advance. He keeps it simple, make a list, and prioritize your tasks.
A to-do list, basically.
Yeah, but with a twist.
Yeah.
He suggests ranking those tasks from A to F based on their importance.
Okay, so the A tasks would be the big, important frogs.
Precisely. Those are the ones you want to tackle first thing in the morning when your willpower and energy are at their peak.
Front load the day with the tough stuff. Got it.
Yep. And even with those big A tasks, Tracy suggests breaking them down into smaller, more manageable chunks.
So it's less overwhelming that way.
Exactly. It makes those big goals feel less intimidating. And as you complete each step, you get that sense of accomplishment.
You build momentum as you go.
Exactly. And let's not forget about distractions. They're everywhere in today's world. Emails, social media, notifications popping up constantly.
It's a constant battle for our attention.
It really is.
Yeah.
And Tracy recommends creating a dedicated workspace, a place where you can focus without interruptions.
So like silencing your phone, closing unnecessary tabs on your computer, maybe even using noise-canceling headphones.
All great strategies. It's all about reclaiming your attention and directing it towards the task at hand. It makes you more efficient, less stressed, and the quality of your work improves too.
I think we can all relate to that feeling of being pulled in a million directions at once. It's crucial to set boundaries, create those spaces for focus.
Absolutely. And Tracy doesn't stop at external distractions. He also talks about those internal ones, the ones that come from within.
Oh yeah, like what kinds of things?
Negative self-talk, limiting beliefs, perfectionism. These can all be roadblocks to productivity.
I see that. It's like those voices in your head that tell you you can't do it or you're not good enough.
Exactly. And Tracy gets some really practical strategies for overcoming these mental obstacles, for cultivating a more positive and empowering mindset.
So it's about changing the internal dialogue, so to speak.
Right. And then there's this emphasis on continuous learning and personal growth. Tracy really encourages us to invest in ourselves, to read books, take courses, learn new skills.
It's about staying sharp, adapting to the ever-changing world.
Exactly. And he ties all of this back to his core message of taking control of your life.
Yeah.
He believes that by applying these principles of time management, focus, personal development, you can really shape your destiny, create a life that's meaningful and fulfilling.
It's a powerful message for sure. It's about empowerment, taking ownership of your life.
Absolutely. And it leads us to another interesting concept that Tracy explores, leveraging your unique talents and strengths.
Okay, so it's not just about working hard, it's about working smart.
Precisely. Tracy urges us to identify those activities that we naturally excel at, the ones that bring us energy and joy.
The things that feel more like play than work, right?
Exactly. And he suggests that we should strive to spend as much time as possible in those areas of strength, because that's where we'll be most productive and make our biggest impact.
So play to your strengths, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he even goes so far as to recommend delegating or outsourcing tasks that fall outside our expertise.
That makes sense. Focus on what you do best and let others handle the rest.
Right. It's about building a synergistic team or network where everyone operates from their zone of genius.
I like that zone of genius. And when you're working in that zone, you're naturally more productive, more engaged, more fulfilled.
Exactly. But even when you're working in your sweet spot, there are still going to be tasks that you dread, those frogs that you'd rather avoid.
Oh yeah, they're always lurking somewhere.
They are. And that's where Tracy reminds us of the power of momentum. He suggests tackling those less desirable tasks right after you've completed something you genuinely enjoy.
So like ride that wave of positive energy.
Precisely. You harness that momentum from the enjoyable task and use it to overcome the resistance to the frog.
That's a clever strategy. It's like tricking your brain into taking action.
In a way, yes, it's about being mindful of your energy levels and optimizing your workflow for maximum efficiency and effectiveness.
It's amazing how Tracy weaves all of these concepts together, from the Pareto principle to the power of momentum to personal growth, into this cohesive framework for success.
He really does. And the beauty of it is that it's universally applicable. It doesn't matter what industry you're in or what your career path is.
It's like he's giving us this mental toolkit for navigating life's challenges.
And one of the most valuable tools in that toolkit is the concept of creative procrastination. It really is like a toolkit. And this one, creative procrastination, this one's interesting.
I know, right? So we're talking about beating procrastination. And now he's saying there's a good kind of procrastination.
It does seem a little contradictory, but what Tracy is saying is you can't do it all. There are just not enough hours in the day for everything.
That's true.
So creative procrastination is all about being intentional about what you choose not to do. Consciously saying no to those little things that suck up your time and energy, but don't really matter.
So it's like decluttering your to-do list, getting rid of those tasks that aren't really moving you forward.
Exactly. He says, become ruthless with your to-do list. Eliminate, delegate anything that doesn't align with your goals or your strengths.
I like that. So you're freeing up your time, your mental energy, to focus on the things that really count, those high-impact activities.
Right. It's about moving from being reactive to being proactive, choosing how you spend your precious time and energy.
And that leads perfectly into Tracy's point about urgency, right?
It does. He says procrastination often comes from a lack of urgency. We tell ourselves, oh, I've got plenty of time for that, and then we push it off and push it off.
We've all been there.
Right. But Tracy says if we can cultivate a sense of urgency, that's when we overcome that inertia and take action.
So how do we create that sense of urgency?
Now, deadlines, even if you set them for yourself, it's all about creating a little bit of pressure, a little bit of accountability.
I see. It's like that little nudge you need to get moving.
Right. And Tracy reminds us that the longer we wait to do something, the bigger it looms in our minds.
Like that laundry pile that keeps growing and growing because you keep putting it off.
Exactly. But when you take action, even a small step, it breaks that mental block.
So do it now, get it off your plate, move on to the next thing.
Precisely. And finally, something that I think is really important, Tracy emphasizes taking care of your physical and mental well-being.
Yeah, that's often overlooked in these productivity conversations.
It is, but he makes a great point. He says, you can't perform at your best if you're exhausted and running on fumes.
So get enough sleep, eat well, exercise, all that good stuff.
Exactly. It's about creating a sustainable lifestyle that supports both your productivity and your overall well-being.
It's all connected. So to wrap things up, Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog. It's a powerful guide to not just beating procrastination, but also achieving incredible results in every area of life. He gives us a clear framework for identifying our most important tasks, creating a plan, and building the habits and mindset we need to succeed.
And he does it in a way that's engaging, practical, and inspiring.
Absolutely. So, as we leave you today, we want you to think about this. What's your biggest frog right now? What's that one thing you've been putting off? And what's one small step, just one, that you can take today to start tackling it?
Remember, even a small step can create momentum and lead to amazing things.
That's it for this deep dive into Eat That Frog. We encourage you to check out the book for yourself, explore these ideas further, and see what a difference they can make in your life.
Thanks for joining us. Until next time.